Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
But we got a team in here. And this is like a chant. Now every time up here, we gotta score.
Yeah, all right. 4-Question Friday. Day 2 of the Kevin O'Connell era of Minnesota Vikings football, gentlemen. Did you wake up with a little extra collaborative pep in your step like I did?
My culture was outstanding this morning.
Yeah. The
Your
illusion
culture was outstanding.
The illusion
My
of
culture.
complexity when I opened my eyes this morning was just absolutely wild. I was trying to figure out where I was and what I was doing.
My
By the way,
coffee and culture, both on point right now.
Yeah, I woke up, birds chirping. We have breaking news too. The Undertaker is going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. I mean, I don't know what more you could ask for on this Friday.
No,
I don't
not
know.
at all.
I don't know if I don't know if we can top what's happening right now. By the way, Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. And it's presented by our friends at Surly Brewing Company and also TCL TVs, which has a new lineup of award-winning TVs, great for watching sports, delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. If you guys want to heckle us, we're going to be hanging out doing a couple bonus special Mackie and Judd podcast episodes from the Minnesota Golf Show, the Choice Bank Minnesota Golf Show, around like 1:30 on this Friday and Saturday afternoon. So if you want to throw some tomatoes at us or golf balls or whatever, you definitely can.
Mhm.
And yeah, come stop by at the
No
Minneapolis
golf balls.
Convention
What are you
Center.
talking about?
MinnesotaGolfShow.com.
Throw
Golf
us a
balls might
surly or
hurt.
two. How about that? Throw us a surly or two.
No, just bring them up as an
Yeah.
appreciation
I
for
can-
all we
Give me a
do.
pass. Give me a pass.
You know,
Play
sports fan
action.
wants some appreciation, okay?
I don't need no handoffs. Give me passes.
All right, boys, let's dive into question number 1 here. 4 questions, but I have a feeling we're going to spend more time on the first question here because there's a lot to unpack. So I'll back up a step and say it's kind of funny how different people and publications and fans interpreted things in different ways yesterday. There was the Kirk Cousins discussion. On one hand, you could say that anticipating that he's going to be your quarterback because he's under contract is not exactly a ringing endorsement. But then other people interpreted, hey, they're going to lay out this plan. Ben Gessling from the Star Tribune had this interpretation of yesterday's festivities. Through it all on Thursday, Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings' 36-year-old new head coach, seemed to be building a thesis during his introductory press conference. The roster has enough talent to win right now. All it needs is to be managed properly. So my question isn't, do you agree or disagree? Because I know that Judd disagrees with that. My question is, if Ben is right, and if this is true, if Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi have said, you know what? After some examination, Mike Zimmer was a clown show. We're going to try and run this thing back. And we're going to win more than 8 games. In fact, we're going to compete at the top of the NFC by just bringing better leadership to the table. If that's how they're thinking about this, how will the Vikings off-season play out over the next few months?
All right. That is a great question. I'll give you the great question point. But let me say this very quickly to Mr. Gessling and the rest of the people that interpreted that press conference that way. You saw yesterday, the season starts in September. So months before Kevin O'Connell ever gets to the sideline to coach a football game, you saw the first use of the illusion of complexity yesterday. The illusion of complexity was this. Everyone's going to be on point saying what we believe you want to hear, fan base, which is very smart. Does that make it the truth? No. But to go to your question now, the offseason will play out like this. If they are going to do this, they will find a way to, I guess, restructure Kirk. They have to get offensively another interior lineman. It might be a guard, might be a center, I don't know. But they can't leave that. They can't look at that interior line seriously and say better coaching is going to turn Udo or Bradbury into a great player. I'm sorry. not going to happen. That would be a dumb move, and until they prove that they're not, I'm going to guess that these are smart people. The other thing then is, and this becomes the question, defensively, like this is the big question. Defensively, then, what do you do, and what do you think there is to get out of that defense, which is now short on cornerbacks? And I guess if you go down this route, you do draft one in the first round and plug and play that guy. But I will say this, Ed Donatell's done some good work. I've seen it. He's done some bad work. Seen that too. I don't think he's the master fixer. So like, I don't know how you justify that thought process with the defense. But to get back to your question, you draft a cornerback in the first round. You keep Smith and hope he restructures. Hunter, I guess the same thing. You're right. I fundamentally disagree that this would be a good idea. But I think the one place that you would probably add for sure then, and it would probably have to be a veteran, offensive line, guard, or center.
So let's start with the cap, all right? Because the biggest hindrance to just running it back is that you can't run it back right now because you have spent too much money already on your 2022 team, right? But thanks to our friends at overthecap.com, Rob Brzezinski and Kwesi Dofa-Mensah can do what's called a simple restructure of multiple players on the roster where they don't even need to really interact with the player or the agent. It's just they can move money around. They're not taking money off the plate or off the table for a player. They're shuffling around a roster bonus or a base salary.
They did this to Kendricks a couple times.
Yep.
Same exact thing.
They've done it to other players.
Yeah.
So if they just do some simple restructures of their current players on the roster, they can get to $30 million under the salary cap. Now, we talked about this yesterday. That still would put them like in the fourth or like the fifth or sixth least amount of cap space because other teams can also do simple restructures and get, the Vikings can get to 30 under. Other teams can get to 70 under and 90 under with their simple restructure. So you're still behind the eight ball when it comes to a Brandon Scherf negotiation, right? He wants $15 million a year and there's 5 other teams that can do it. But they can snap their fingers with their current roster, excuse me, and get to $30 million under the cap. That probably also includes a Kirk Cousins extension of some kind that so there's ways to get there. I think that's a possibility. I mean, after listening to that press conference yesterday, I think they were leaving themselves room to trade Kirk. And I think there's definitely going to be conversations over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And I will stand by what I have said and tweeted that ultimately I do think Kirk Cousins gets traded. But if they decide, listen, I don't know, we've done some evaluation. Mike Zimmer was just an absolute tool of a coach the last couple of years. And we just feel like some better collaboration, some more investment in caring about these players is going to go a long way. Then I think they try to keep the entire nucleus. I think they try to keep Danielle Hunter. And I think what they do for the offensive line is they make one big splash signing, like a Brandon Scherf, or is it Austin Corbett, the guard from the Rams that KOC worked closely with. And then maybe they spend one of their first 2 picks in the draft on offensive line. So they can clear a little cap space, and then they're going to have a first and a second round pick to try and plug a couple other holes. Wyatt Davis could step up and be a guard option too.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of how I see it playing out. They do some simple restructures. They don't make any big trades, and they see what happens. And then 2023 becomes the retool year where they might draft a quarterback if they fail.
The only thing, if you restructure Kirk and Danielle, is if you go into this offseason, it's basically going to look a lot like last year, where maybe you can sign a Patrick Peterson, maybe you can sign a cornerback to a 1-year deal. I know they signed Dalvin Thompson, was their quote-unquote marquee addition last season, but if they're going to legitimately just run this back, I don't really see this offseason being that splashy in terms of moves. Like, they would have to really, really manipulate the cap to make that happen. And then you'd also have to be reliant that your 12th overall pick or whatever the first round pick ends up being in the draft, that guy's a day one contributor. Yeah. And not just like a contributor and a nice plug and play player. Like, no, he is adding to your wins and is a significant player helping you win football games. I don't think there's too much stock in that they're just going to run this back and you can rely on rookies and a makeshift cornerback or some slappy offensive lineman you find off the street that can fix things and then dramatically make you a 10-win football team.
And real quick, because you mentioned like cornerback, so let's say they do some simple restructures and they get $30 million under the cap. Patrick Peterson's not under contract. Mackenzie Alexander, starting nickel corner, not under contract, right? So that $30 million does not include, like, you'd have to find 2 starting cornerbacks, and by starting I mean a nickel and then an outside cornerback. I think Cam Dantzler will start at the other outside. You'd need almost certainly 2 starting offensive linemen, unless you feel like Wyatt Davis or Oli Udoh is going to step in and be better. And you probably need a linebacker if you're going to play some 3-4. And Anthony Barr has void years, but he's not under contract. So you with Brandon Scherf will cost you $15 million. Austin Corbett's going to cost you 7 or 8. You can push some of that money into the future if you want to, but keep that in mind that they only have 1 starting cornerback right now under contract, and it's Cam Dantzler.
So I would like to see this team hit the refresh button right now, but again, I think that there's an appropriate story to be told here about Kwesi and O'Connell playing the illusion of complexity with their bosses now, and here's why. Yesterday, I will paint a picture, and that I've never seen this before. It was very intriguing, and I don't know why, but in retrospect now, as we have this discussion, it was fitting. Kwesi and O'Connell were at the main podium table, so like they're up there taking questions, and it's just them. In the old days, it used to be the Wilfs, right? The new coach, the GM. But instead, yesterday, the Wilfs did a side press conference, but it was in front of a backdrop with mics, and it was like podium 2. Don't know why. And here's where it gets intriguing, and I would not be against this. Sometimes the hardest lessons have to be taught through the actual execution of failure. Kwesi and O'Connell are young guys. They got a lot of time. Like in life, they got a lot of time here. The Wilfs are like, we got to win. We're getting older. We got to win. So hear me out here. If they've been given the mandate that Zimmer was a buffoon and we can win. And privately, I'm sure they talk and say, actually, he was a buffoon, but there's a lot of problems here. But we don't like Kirk that much. Yeah. This defense was bad. If you're smart, you tell the Wilfs, absolutely, let's go for it. Let's run this thing back and use 22, because I think there's too many deficiencies on this team to do what the Wilfs want. But use 22 to actually allow them to see what will happen. Because now it's not going to be O'Connell's fault. Zimmer stunk, and now O'Connell's a different person completely. And so if these two say, we're going to have to sort of let this thing marinate, probably unsuccessfully, for a year to teach the Wilfs, hey, we need to retool, reset. That would not be the worst thing, especially if it resulted in an unsuccessful year that disappoints the Wilfs, but gets you a draft pick. So I don't think these two look at this roster, which has some really good players and has some huge holes, and say, this is the recipe to success is to say that it was Mike's fault. But I could see telling the Wilfs, hey, cool, you know what? We'll keep Kirk. In fact, we'll keep Kirk at that cap hit, because it's going to run the rest of the roster into the ground, which I would not be adverse to if you are privately accepting that. Illusion of complexity is this. Make it very simple to lose.
I feel like the illusion of complexity was I think you took some liberties with the illusion of complexity there.
The illusion of complexity is a life term, though. It's used in football, but it's a life term. Because basically what it does is it's like, I'm going to retool Wilfs. I'm going to retool this roster around this group that you think is great, but it's not complex, because basically what you're doing is allowing it to lose.
This is misuse. As someone who loves leadership speak and loves new age leadership speak, You are misusing the phrase illusion of complexity.
I am.
You are taking liberties with it. You are taking it too far. It is meant as a play design phrase.
I know.
It is not meant to trick your owners and bait your owners into.
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's not a misuse. What it is its next level illusion of complexity use. You see, people like to use phrases and think I came up with this phrase and I'm smart. And I'm telling you, I'm one-upping what they're doing. But anyway, if they lose off of this, it's actually not the worst thing.
Declan, are you buying Judd's use of the illusion of complexity phrase here?
No, not at all.
Listen, you guys, it's very simple. What you do is you allow yourself to lose by making the Wilfs think that you're trying to win.
Why don't you just communicate with the Wilfs what your vision is?
Because they don't want to hear that.
Get the show on the road. How do you know they don't want to hear? They just hired these guys.
Craig Leopold thought his team needed tweaks.
Craig Leopold is not Mark Wilf.
Mark Wilf and Ziggy Wilf, I'm telling you guys, I've covered them for a long time. They want to win at every turn, and they don't understand necessarily how to get there in sports. They never have. I'm telling you right now, they want to win.
But Judd, don't you think they fired Rick Spielman? All right, so don't you think that they are open to whatever? So I think they're going into this with open eyes. So you think they hired Kwesi, and you think they hired Kevin O'Connell, and you think that they are telling those guys, hey, I know that you guys are smart, young, sharp people, but you have to do it our way. I disagree.
No. They're telling them in the interview process, they didn't say you have to do it our way. They wanted to hear that they can win in 2022. Kwesi and O'Connell aren't going to say, no, you can't. They're young.
Let's cut. But then let's cut right to the. I mean, what we're talking about here is the quarterback position.
Yeah,
that the Vikings have a known commodity at quarterback that's sort of 3-14 proof. Like, Kirk Cousins, good enough quarterback. Sorry, am I cutting out again here?
Just for a second.
You're good now.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You're back.
Kirk Cousins is not going to lead you to a 3-win season. Like, he's a good enough, competent quarterback, right?
Right.
So, what you're saying is that the Wilfs are demanding that they keep Kirk Cousins or trade him for an equally good or better starting quarterback? Because I think if they go down the path of getting rid of Cousins, they're taking a clear step back at quarterback for the purpose of long-term gain at some point.
I'm saying I think the Wilfs believe that this roster can win. How it's constructed, I think that their belief, and it's always been this, they have never committed to how do we get there. They are committed to why can't we win now? And what I'm saying is for Kwesi and O'Connell to accept that and then do their own thing for the good of the franchise, I'm absolutely fine with. I'm fine with that. But they don't. The Wilfs do not accept, hey, this is going to take a couple of years. They are petrified about going 3-14 now.
Yeah, I do agree is I do think they are petrified of going 3-13 and being the Jets, but I don't think they're going to micromanage this. I think if Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell go to ownership and say, listen, there's 4 teams that would give us a first or a second round pick for Kirk Cousins. We have to do this. It's going to mean that we're going into sort of an unknown at the most important position, which means we're going to take a step back. I don't think they would put the kibosh on that. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that if Kwesi came to them and said, yeah, we're gonna have to cleanse some of these veterans, and the team won't be a disaster in 2022, but it's not gonna be a great team. I don't think they're gonna put the blockade. I don't think you have to go back to your original point about illusion of complexity. I don't think you have to like hoodwink the owners to get what you want and wait a year. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying that in the press conference yesterday, what Ben wrote as being O'Connell's thesis is exactly what he should say. It's exactly what the Wilfs want to hear. And I'm saying I don't buy it as being the complete truth. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Question number 2 might tie into some of this because it's in the division here. News broke, I think this was yesterday afternoon or sometime in the last 24 hours. The Packers are going to bring back longtime quarterback coach Tom Clements, who was Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach from 2006 through 2016. This is part of their all-in blitz to try and keep Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay for at least another season. So now that they're dusting off Tom Clements here, was he retired?
Yes.
So he's just retired. He's just on a beach somewhere, and he's like, "God, dude, we need you. We're trying to keep Aaron Rodgers." And Rodgers has thanked him publicly in different settings. So question 2 is, how likely is Rodgers to stay in Green Bay now?
I think, and I'll continue to go back to this. I think because he is such a weird dude, and because like I really thought that he was not going to show up for training camp, and he just showed up. I think he is very likely to stay because what he wants in life, along with lots and lots of cash, is he clearly wants his team to bend over backwards and to say, Aaron, you're the GM. Hell, you own every piece of paper stock in this team. And the Packers are doing that. And so I think for all of the talk about Kirk is staying here, I think that you can flip it to Green Bay and say the same thing. I think the odds of Aaron Rodgers staying increase by the day because the thing that he wants the most is for everybody to kiss his feet and say, we want you here. We love you. And by the way, for the most part, we will do whatever you want, which the Packers now for the last year plus have done. I think it's becoming increasingly likely by the day that he stays in Green Bay.
What about you, Dex? Where are you at?
I think it's about 60% he stays. I'm a little bit more than 50 that he's not gonna that he's gonna stay put in Green Bay. You know, 9 months ago in the summer, we were convinced he was just absolutely gone with how weird things were going. He was gonna get moved or he was gonna retire. He just wasn't gonna be in Green Bay, and then he ends up staying put. He's a weird, vindictive dude, and I think it looks like all signs point to him staying and doing it one more time, but I can see him saying, you know what, I'm just done with this. Like, I don't want to be back here. I want to go somewhere else. I maybe even want to retire. He's a weird duck, man. But I think it's 60% chance that he stays in Green Bay.
He's kind of a sociopath. He's kind of a weirdo. You know, he's got all these short-term relationships. He's alienated his family. Do I think he has a good relationship with Tom Clements? Yes. Do I think a sociopath cares whether Tom Clements is inconvenienced if Rodgers goes to Denver? No. Like I think it's like, oh, cool, I could maybe work with Tom Clements again, but I don't think that's like in the top 5 of his decision-making process here. But then when you start to look at it from more of like a logical football standpoint, you know, Green Bay has some cap issues, but they have a pretty damn good roster. You know, they won 13 games with a bunch of injuries last year. Would San Francisco be an upgrade? I mean, like, how many teams, if he went from Green Bay to Denver, look at the division he'd be playing in too. You'd have to face Patrick Mahomes twice and Justin Herbert and now Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr twice. So I just feel like if he's just thinking logically, then this is the division and the team that he should want to play for the next couple of years. You know, Vikings fans should want him gone. So I'm going to say, pretty likely. I'm kind of with Declan, like 65-70% that Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. I think there's probably a 100% chance we're drinking Surly this weekend.
God, yeah.
110% chance. 110% chance that we are on our couches, perhaps even at the brew hall, drinking Surly beer. Potentially. And let me tell you this right now. If we're drinking Surly, do you know what's going to be in front of Sports Dad? That's right. Surly Furious, the best IPA around. Your weekend plans, if they don't include Surly, they should get to the liquor store and get yours.
Do you just carry those around in your pockets? Just, look at what we have here.
I got to, yep, right. Look at that. Hey, officer. I was driving. I can't be drinking this.
Yeah, it's practice safe drinking and no drinking and driving. Yes.
Yeah, that would be a bad idea. But anyway, drink responsibly, of course. But when you do drink, make it a Surly.
Hey, also the St. Thomas men's hockey home schedule is coming to a close this weekend against Lake Superior State University. So you can check out those games Friday and Saturday this weekend. TommySports.com for tickets. TommySports.com for tickets. Question number 3 here on this 4-question Friday comes from Mike T via the Score North app. I can't get this idea out of my head. A Twitter follower asked Mackey if he'd get a tattoo of Kirk Cousins if Cousins got the Vikings to a Super Bowl. So many of us agree with you guys at Score North and do not believe Kirk has it in him, but I bet a lot of us would be willing to join that challenge. You guys are good at owning your bad predictions, so let's broaden it out. It would be a great way to heal the fan base in a celebratory way. Maybe do it in that 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. So how about it? Are you guys willing to commit to a Kirk Cousins tattoo if he does lead the Vikings to a Super Bowl?
No, absolutely not. I ain't getting a tattoo.
I almost feel like I have to now. I almost feel like I've committed myself.
Now, do I think he's going to? No, but I am not even going to take that small chance of some fluky thing taking place. No, I will not commit to a tattoo. Sorry.
I'm not against tattoos. I think people that get them are awesome. My sister has a full sleeve. It's badass. But I want a tattoo to mean something if I were to get one. And there's zero chance that Kirk Cousins is going on my body permanently. No,
what if it was okay? Well, how about a compromise? Instead of a picture of Kirk, what if it was just you like that across the top of your right across the top of your back, your back?
Absolutely not.
How about a lower back tattoo of
no tramp stamps
of you like that?
No tramp stamps. No bullseyes. No tramp stamps. That is absolutely not happening. My parents are dead. What about have a tattoo of them?
If I die, I die on your rib cage.
That one I'm a little more intrigued by. That was a little more intriguing. If I die, I die. But no, I'm not.
I die is pretty good.
It's because you could also make that out like that might not even be a Kirk comment. That could be like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie comment.
Well, like we'd have to put it in quotes, and then it'd have to be dash Kirk
Cousins. Kirk Cousins. 2020 August.
You know, I don't care about the Kirk aspect. I just don't want the pain.
Well, I don't care about that.
Tattoos hurt.
Yeah, but I don't.
Tattoos hurt. Screw that. I'm not going to go. There is zero chance that I'm going to allow.
You're okay looking at your body in the shower of Kirk Cousins every day.
Not really.
Why would you put that image out there? Jesus.
But I don't want. Yeah, exactly. But I don't want the pain. Like, why would I want? I want to suffer from a Kirk Cousins tattoo or any tattoo?
Because it would be a cleansing from the suffering that you've gone through 60 years, no Super Bowls. No pain would equate to the 1998 NFC Championship game or Brett Favre throwing across his body or the day that the Vikings signed Kirk to a contract extension.
Or the Herschel Walker trade. I mean, what the hell? Yeah.
I'm more likely to get a "We Did It" tattoo after the Twins win a GD playoff game than I'm getting a Kirk Cousins tattoo. Okay,
I'm World Series.
More willing to do that.
Now let's do this. Let's advance this forward by saying send us some designs. Okay, let's look through a catalog of designs.
All right.
Okay.
Some text designs.
Okay.
Some pictures of Kirk, and let's see what it might look like.
So Phil, are you inclined to? If this takes place, do it.
Listen, I'm all about whatever it takes for the show, man. Whatever it takes to keep growing the Marconi finalist and top 10 Apple football podcast that is Purple Daily. If something needs to be done
for face tattoo,
like Mike Tyson,
I'm good.
A little face tattoo of Kirk.
Oh man, just send us some designs and then we can.
Post Malone.
Question number 4 here. Random question of the week. So I'm in town for the weekend. We're going to be doing some couple live shows at the golf show, and we're going to hang out at Surly for a while. What's the best current brunch spot in the Twin Cities that old Macadac needs to? He's a big Red Cow, Red Rabbit guy.
Yeah, Red Rabbit.
I might have to go down.
I was going to say that. Yeah, mm-hmm. I love it. Food's great.
Couple options. Stanley's is good. Judd and I have
Stanley's guy.
Have gone to Stanley's. If you want to go across the river, which I know some people are afraid to even trek into St. Paul, but I, as a St. Paul boy myself, a Hope Breakfast Bar in downtown St. Paul. Now it's a hop-in place that's usually pretty packed, but it's a insanely good breakfast bar. Unbelievable brunch options, breakfast. I would recommend those two.
Might have to make the trek. Make the trek. All right. Okay.
Ooh,
hit us up. Hit me up if there's any other brunch spots out there, listeners. Let me know where.
Red Rabbit, man. Red Rabbit is just so solid.
Yeah. No, it's
good service too.
All right, so we're getting tattoos, and Judd is going to try and trick the Vikings ownership into getting.
I told them what they want to hear. I told them what they want to hear, so that I can do what I want to do. Sometimes you have to teach lessons through the process of the lesson. That's what I'm saying.
You know who's not trying to trick anybody though is Livia. All right, it's just straight up weight loss.
That's exactly right.
Livia,
and I am down 30+ pounds thanks to my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. And I want you to join me now on this weight loss trek through the I Did It 8-week challenge, where you get your first 8 weeks for free. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I lost 26 plus pounds during that time. First 8 weeks for free. 855 go LIVEA, Livea, LIVEA.com. Give them a call. Check them out. Tell them Judd and Score North sent you, because if Judd can lose the weight, talking in the third person here, I know that you can as well.
Thanks for clarifying.
I love a little Herschel Walker for you, little Bo Jackson, baby.
All right, that's a wrap on this 4-question Friday. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. It's not that much to ask for.